Hello, everyone. Welcome to All About Energy Life. Today, I am joined by the wonderful Louis, who, if you've been watching my YouTube channel for some years now, you will recognize him on a wonderful interview that we had where he was discussing his session that he received at that time. Now, it's been about 3 years and a month since his session, so I thought it would be fun to really catch up with him and see where he's at after his QHHT session. Welcome, Liz.
Hey, how's it going, Saba?
Good. I'm so glad to have you on and to talk about what life has been post-session. We'll try to go down memory lane on how your session was and some of the wonderful discoveries. I do reference your session quite a bit because there's an amazing part of your session I absolutely love, which was the very first second right when you went under hypnosis. So how have you been?
Great. It's been good. The reason I'm wearing this shirt, by the way, is because I started a skate company like soon after the session because I was obsessed with skates as a kid, and I thought it was like one of those releases. I found out through the session that like the whole thing where you create just by setting your mind to it. You have an idea, you just put a little bit of thought and effort into something, and then you can make it a reality. I went with my gut feeling on a couple of things, and
Okay.
so far, I mean, it's been great. I mean, I established a lot of good relationships. I was able to connect with community leaders and this in a lot of different scenes that have to do with skates, I guess. And I actually I love the influence that I was able to shine on a lot of people. Not to brag or anything, not to say that people didn't have it already in them, but I like to I guess I'd like to shine the light a little bit more in the community than and know that I had that ability. And I think a lot of it was thanks to the session where I was able to understand that one person can influence and have a positive effect on so many of our brothers and sisters out that they're looking for some kind of affirmation that that they are present, that somebody sees them. So I try to give that as much as possible now. I try to give everybody more of a that loving feeling.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So how did the session show you the importance of connecting with souls and connecting with people and really, giving them that, what you're saying, that effect of like, hey, I'm present with you, how did the session do that for you?
One of the sessions that I had, and it was made clear to me in one of the I think you remember the time where I went into like the spiritual realm because I had died, and I saw that life, go take from, going through a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, having an affair, and then having you know, all of these things happen, to where I was like basically in that older perspective.
Oh, okay. So basically it was when you left that physical life that you saw in the hypnosis, you went and transitioned to the spirit world.
Correct. And we touched a lot on about how I actually had made these people feel. Because I don't know if you remember that because of the affair, I guess had a very, very negative or a profound feeling of loss or sadness to my wife because of like what I was doing, and the same thing to the other person. So, but all of those things were a lot more obvious when I went into the spiritual realm, because in the spiritual realm is where you actually get. I was able to see myself, how I was made, how not from my perspective but from theirs. I was able to see how I affected them, and I think that what was powerful to me was that when I go to this judgment, if you know, and it's really just yourself
Judging
judging yourself,
yourself,
right?
right.
The only visuals that I would want to see is going to be the ones where, you know, like, and not from my perspective, but from other people's perspective. I want to see from their perspective the positive impact that my actions took on their lives, and that's honestly like one of my main goals is having that positive effect
Mm-hmm.
and as many people as possible. And hopefully it lasts and it changes people's outcomes in life to a more positive effect.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Louis.
Mm.
That's gorgeous. I love that. I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
And then also one thing that happened in your session, how profound is that, by the way?
It was
Really, like that's so profound.
yeah, it was
How's your wife? Um, I mean, does
she's come a lot. So she's
after this, knowing about your session
I mean,
and
it's been
seeing
3
the
years.
changes in you, she must be like, okay,
No, my relationship with her is a lot stronger than it was back then.
good.
Like we have actually become, I think, a lot more close, and I feel
Mm.
like if anything, I've been trying my best to like make her proud of me and like be happy. We've had our challenges, like and not everything in life is gonna work out, and that's just the part of like the of where we're gonna go in life. We have to learn how to cope with certain things, and we have to go through a lesson plan, I guess, in a way.
Right. The other part that I found that I want to talk about and touch, if you guys remember the last time we did this interview, right when Louis went under, he had connected with source or God energy, right when he went under. And if we can go back a little bit before your session, before what your belief systems were on God, and then after the session, and then moving forward on where you are today.
Well, I mean, I guess I was in a very dark part of my life. I won't say that it was like something that I think I was a great person, and by no means did I think do I think of myself not believing in God was a bad thing. The I think what really came about was seeking out for like a little bit of inner guidance, I guess, that I didn't know I had. I was able to like look deep inside myself and look for the answers and and be and know that I could trust my gut to do certain things.
And so now you have an understanding that, okay, God exists.
Yeah,
Okay, no doubt.
the way, but I'm not. The way that I believe in God might not be the same way that
Oh no, I'm not talking religion. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
any sex of religion, SECTS, sex. It is not coming out right. But anyways, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that there is source.
Right.
There is a higher power.
Well, the way that I see it is that everybody is just a particle of energy that came about from the source.
Yeah.
So it's like in essence, when like in biblical passages they say that like we're all done to God's image. I think it has to do more so that we're basically everybody's like a shining light or a particle of that energy that radiates from a main source. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You had a life that you viewed as a young firefighter that was fighting a fire,
Right.
really upset, really emotional about what climate change is doing to the world, and really having this outlook that was actually interesting because you, prior to your session, you were really overwhelmed with what a lot of young males and females in your generation do look at the climate crisis and so many different things that you have to deal with that even my generation didn't have to, and it's a bit overwhelming. And I've noticed a change in you after your session versus prior to your session. So I just want to know, how has that helped you understand to deal with these very serious topics?
I think you just have to feel, well, first of all, I took a hiatus from social media. I felt like there was too much that caused me, what caused me the stress was also having to get into these arguments online.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think that the last thing that you need is to have that,
Mhm.
because it actually makes you into a more bitter person.
Sure.
I think trying to push my point to other people was when in that light that you were talking about.
Mhm.
It, that firefighter was, he strongly believed in the things that he did, and then he also was immersed into a world where he embraced the hate and the destruction in a way that it basically ended up destroying himself
Right.
afterwards.
Yeah.
So from that life, I mean, I guess I've been very careful about what you know, the sources of information that I've been exposed to. I try to like, keep a, understand that there is definitely challenges and people are
Mhm.
going through things.
Mhm.
But I also try to like, remember the humanity and the goodness that there is.
Mhm. Because in that life, he got totally consumed, like literally. He actually died from being overwhelmed with taking on the world's.
Well, not only that, I got to see the person dying,
Right.
but I saw it. It was actually pretty impacting because I when you go through the session, you relive that person's perspective,
Mm.
and you actually, and in the dying moments, I was able to see what, where this took me to, where,
Mhm.
how did I allow myself to get to that point.
And I think that was, the timing couldn't have been perfect, more perfect than where you were at in your life. Like you said, it was a dark time and you were really overwhelmed with so many topics that were very heavy. And
Yeah,
and it
definitely.
was interesting that that was a life that you were shown. These, yeah, right? Like
Yeah, no, it was
the
everything.
timing of it.
I think every single one of the lives that I saw, and I
There was
thought I
an
saw,
older gentleman as well that you saw.
I've been through I think eight or nine lives that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
The more significant ones that I can remember right now that I would be, yes, the gentleman where I was like the father of four daughters.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I actually had something happen this year where like, I lost a lot of my income.
Mm-hmm.
But I said to my wife, it doesn't really matter because I mean we have each other, we have health,
Mm-hmm.
and the kids are, they're fine.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to maybe, I lost a significant amount of money, but I was able to like balance it and keep my cool just by
Mm-hmm.
the idea that where I'm giving them more attention, and
Mm.
in return I was able to like I think I was able to connect with my daughter better because
Oh.
having less work honestly allowed for me to do that, which I think sometimes you get so consumed with trying to provide and with trying to give them everything that that there's material, but nothing is
Mm-hmm.
as it can replace the time and effort and love that a parent can put towards a child. I mean,
And what parallel did, or what was that life for those who haven't seen that interview? What was that life like? Do you remember?
that one.
I remember.
So it was just
Mm-hmm.
basically, so I was talking to you prior to going into the session
Mm-hmm.
that I was very tired and I barely had time for the family because I was working too much
Mm-hmm.
and I had to provide. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just one of those things. I kind of felt bad about that. Well, I guess then when we went into the session, one of the things that I saw was that it's funny. I was shown the first of all somebody that was like in his 70s,
Mm-hmm.
like and I was this person that had like really his hands were basically rough, from
Mhm.
the, like the hard labors that he had to go through. And also that his hard labors couldn't really afford him a life that, like by no means, and in the world that we live in today, there's no luxuries in his. He but he had four daughters that were, like in their teens, and it shows how in his life, all of his, as tired as he was, he would make time to sit down with his daughters at a table, and he would like share with them. And
He was so happy.
it was fulfilling. I mean it's like, being present for them and for those kids, having those, and I actually saw him take his daughters out to like the fields, and
Mhm.
like going into by a tree, which was, like, I guess in that life it was a special tree where, they would go there and converge and maybe lay a blanket or something, and then, just sit over there and take up whatever they had around them. None of it required any money. None of it required any like significant efforts to achieve. All he did was basically, there was food, there was a humble home, like very small, and there was a lot of love. I mean, there was a lot of, unity and in his life. I mean, he showed that there was a way to go about, you know, just, being a good parent and being there present, just by doing small efforts, as that. And it
Mhm.
doesn't, you don't really need. I think one of the things that I learned from it is that a lot of the things that are material, and a lot of the things that, don't matter, a lot of times we make it into something that it's absolutely necessary for us. And but there's so much more to life than that. The material is just, it doesn't compare to, like what we can be when we're around each other.
Mhm. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And when you had your session, your son was around 3 or 4.
Yeah,
I
so
know my husband and I think he came, no, he didn't come over. When my husband and I went over there, he was around 3 or 4.
yeah,
And so basically, what an amazing time to have this session when your little ones, well, your second one wasn't born yet, but having that perspective of really being present.
yeah. That's all it is. I mean, I try.
You're amazing.
It's we all try.
Your wife says you're amazing. My
Yeah.
husband loves you. He adores you. You're
Thank you.
amazing. I adore you. So I know you're tired. Go ahead. What
No,
were we going
it's
to
okay.
share?
No. It's like I've actually made it a point to where I ignore the phone, and honestly, I think I've made a lot of people angry because of it. But I kind of have made it almost like church, if you want to call it that, where you have to spend time with the family, and you have
Yeah.
to disconnect, and so I've learned to do that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for catching me up to date and all of our viewers on how life has been 3 years and 1 month post your session. It sounds like it was a beautiful journey. I know there was work involved because there's that integration portion that you have to continue with after your session, right?
Yeah.
So again, yeah, so thank you so much, Louis. I was thinking if we were forgetting anything, but I think we've covered it all. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for jumping in on here today.
Absolutely, anytime.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks,
Bye.
Louis. Bye.